Okay, j'attends juste que tout le monde. So I just wait till everybody is entering the room. Just 30 seconds. You see, there's still some people waiting or expecting. Okay, well, let's start. So thank you everybody for joining this webinar. It's a webinar that we organized quite quickly to explain you about the HP Secure Reset partnership that we had with HP. I got a lot of questions from a lot of different people, from a lot of different type of contexts to say, Gerard, please explain me what is going on, what type of things are happening, what is your vision a little bit, why HP is doing this. And that's what I wanted to share with you today in this webinar of 30 minutes. I don't think it should take longer because we know in this period where we all look for additional business, we have to make sure that we're out there with our customers, to make the business. So let's start with the first slide. If I am correct, let's start with the first slide of the agenda. So first, the HP Secure Reuse pilot program, the partnership that we have with HP. We do a short introduction. I explain you in more detail what this exactly is, what the benefits are for us, for our partners, for us as Altkin, and what's in there for HP. And of course, what is the future? After that, you have the opportunity to ask questions. It will be Emmanuel, our digital marketing manager, will take the questions and give you also the opportunity to ask questions yourself if that is needed. What you need to realize that this is confidential information. Of course, I am under NDA with HP. This information that I provide you is not direct information that comes from HP. Some of it is my interpretation. Some of it is things that I'm authorized really to share with you. So you cannot forward this information or copy this information and forward it to anybody that you want. It really is for your own use. Okay. So let's first look at the market context. Today, we see that the market is, I would say, quite tensed. We see that the number of printed pages in the office sector is rapidly decreasing. Whether we look at A4 printing or A3 printing, the number of pages is decreasing, and it's also something that we have expect and that we still to further go down in the future. We see another phenomenon that the OEMs are continue to try to consolidate, right? You see that with Fuji and Konica. We have seen that with Xerox that tried to do things, but didn't work out for the moment. There is a necessity for consolidation also for the OEMs because the number of pages in the market is not there anymore. So you need to look for volume. The only way to look for volume and to decrease cost is the consolidation. And also we see that aftermarket manufacturers are dying. And then say, yeah, you use a strong word of dying because I think it really is the case. There's a lot of smaller remanufacturers or manufacturers that spend their whole life in building a company. And with the decline in the market, the competition pressure there is, the complexity of the market, the increase of the inflation, the increase of the cost, and increase of the cost of money, a lot of smaller partners cannot survive any longer. We have seen some bankruptcies already in different countries. And my estimation is that it will continue in the future because it really is tough. And dying is because they put all their effort, in their company. It's their heart, it's their energy in there. And it stops because there's no other possibility anymore. No profitability. So also to pass the company over to somebody else or to sell your company is quite difficult as there's no profitability, in the numbers. The other context that we see is that you have CSR responsibilities, right? It's getting bigger and bigger. It's also now happening in France. We see it in Germany, the obligation of reporting, it gets more to details. You need to have detailed information. So CSR is becoming a big topic. RSE, as we say that in French, is becoming a big topic. You have the European Green Deal initiatives, right, that are still be pushed by the European Commission. You have the fact that a voluntary agreement is placed by the eco-design regulation. Yeah. So the whole HP Secure Reuse partnership is in fact coming from the fact that we had a voluntary agreement discussion between certain remanufacturers. And I think Armor at that stage, because we called Armor, and Clover were leading that discussion with the OEMs. We know, Clover withdraw from the market, and Armor as a big player has been stayed there, to take, to represent with two other parties. I have to be clear on that, with KMP and Peach. But we have been representing myself, the remanufacturing industry, and to get the best thing out of there. So the eco-design regulation is the response of the European Commission on the voluntary agreement. They believe that the voluntary agreement, as we have negotiated it with the OEMs, was not good enough. And now we go to an eco-design regulation. Unfortunately, and that was all my fear that I had from the beginning, that the eco-design regulation is not going as far as a voluntary agreement. I think for remanufacturers, it is still a good deal, but it's not as a good deal as a voluntary agreement. There's no targets in today for the eco-design regulation, for example, for OEMs to collect, the no collect targets, the no really remanufacturing targets, which we, in contrary, had agreed on the voluntary agreement. But I can elaborate a little bit more on the next slides. You have the WEEE regulation. We also see that a lot of packaging regulation is changing. How many empty space you can have in packaging, everything what is on the packaging, the signing on the packaging, the materials of the packaging, the number of plastic in the packaging, the number of recycled materials in the packaging. There's also a lot of changes there. And of course, you also see, and more, the European protectionism initiatives that are there, that are going on. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but there's a lot of lobbying going on. The Forced Labor Act is what they have implemented in the US. Is still a big discussion point on European level, to really make sure that in Europe you cannot import products that are made by companies that use forced labor. And of course, the biggest example is the Uyghur people that are used by some Chinese companies, for the manufacturing of products. But there's also European companies, that can use that if they produce in China. And you also have a new act, which is the Buy European Act, which is also an act that is lobbied to say, how can we make sure that more and more European products that are produced by European companies are bought in Europe, and that it doesn't go outside Europe, in terms of importation, that we have to import all those products, but that we can produce it ourselves. You also see that there of medication is important. Chips, for example, you see that in batteries, but you see it in all kind of products that more and more countries are willing, sponsoring, to say, buy your own country type of products, because that is good for Europe. And of course, within Europe, it's difficult to say you need to buy French or German. That's not possible. So they can put it on a European level. You need to have to buy a European product. So that's the context of the market. We, on that context of the market, came, in fact, a reaction of HP, and they introduced the Secure Reuse partnership. So during the voluntary agreement 3 years ago, when we discussed that, HP came with a proposal to say, remanufacturers, Altkin, we have a solution that we maybe can give you technology to reset original OEM chips, right? We have tried that 3 years ago, and that worked, right? We tried it on certain units, and that worked perfectly. The reset is really the original chip. So it's not resetting a Chinese chip, a new build chip. It's really to have the possibility to reset an original chip. This was a reaction on the demand that we say, OEMs, why are you not providing us chip solutions? As you have the technology, you need to remanufacture because you have remanufacturing goals, reuse goals for the OEMs. Why don't you provide us the chips? And then we can help you realizing those goals. Yeah. That's at the end what they didn't want to do, because their fear was that those chips would be sold to other companies and doesn't come back to the original products for reman, but maybe go on to new build products or clone products or illegal products. They didn't want to have that. So they say, no, what we are going to develop is a secure reuse reset program. And in that discussion with the OEMs, with HP at that stage, because they're the only one that at that moment were thinking about that solution, we said, okay, that's perfect. For us, it perfectly fits in reuse, because reusing the chip is also so very important. But if you do that, there are certain conditions. Yeah. And that's what you see, in fact, the 8 conditions that we have here, how the reuse chip will work. And I think that's really a big advantage. So what you have for that reuse chip, what is happening? So you will not have any confusing message anymore when you install the cartridge in the printer, if you use a cartridge that is a secure reuse chip. So you say, no HP chip detected, or are you really sure that you want to install that cartridge, or we don't recognize this cartridge, or you say, are you really, really sure that you want to print with this cartridge? So all those messaging is disappearing. Yeah, you get an identification, on your printer that it says this is a non-HP remanufactured cartridge with OEM chip. Yeah, that's the idea, right? To have this in the screen of the printer and you say it's a non-HP remanufactured cartridge with an OEM chip. That would be the identification. And with that identification, you clearly see also the ink level management. So you get full ink level management capabilities, which is today something that is missing if you use the OEM chip, because you could reuse the OEM chip without a reset, but you don't have the ink level management, which is something that for NPS is a must, but for a lot of customers, they still would like to have that to see, where they are in terms of the consumption of the ink. Another big advantage of the reuse chip, the reset secure reuse chip of HP, is that there's no impact of firmware updates. Today we're pushing customers to say, disable the printer firmware updates on your printer. It's not easy, because every time when there's something, it's reactivated. So you won't have that problems anymore. Any firmware update that HP is doing, it's pushing out, will have no impact on the cartridge, which is different with a new build, with a new chip, right? If you put a new chip on a remanufactured cartridge, the risk is there, and the risk is quite high that that cartridge will not work any longer, because that's the impact of the firmware update. And why is HP doing that firmware updates? Is to preserve the HP security functionalities. There's a big campaign about protecting data, protecting your printer, protecting your network, and that's what they call HP security, right? Also on the cartridges. You can question if that is real, if that can be done or not, but the functionalities of HP security, and the guarantee that your printer is secured by using an HP secure reuse chip, is guaranteed, right? So it's also a big advantage. So you don't lose anything. You still have that guarantee of HP. The good thing is it works with HP printers, HP Plus printers. We didn't have that when we tested the solution during the voluntary agreement 3 years ago. Another, and that for me is really, I see that as a personal victory. I always say, why can we not keep on the HP logo on the cartridge? Because this shows that this cartridge is an original remanufactured cartridge. Because that's what we're selling. We'll be selling a cartridge that is remanufactured, reconditioned, repaired, whatever you want it, but it's an original one. And now by having that functionality and having the part that the HP logo that's in the plastic, that we can keep that, immediately you can have a differentiation between a new build cartridge, a clone cartridge, and an original remanufactured cartridge. In one view, in 1 second, you can see it. Today, something is quite difficult because we don't have to take, but that's what became a habit of taking off all the logos, physical logos of the cartridge. Of course, we have to take off the labels, right? The HP labels with their title and things like that. But the plastic logos, yeah, we can keep. And I think that's a big advantage. And also for marketing, for differentiation, is extremely important. And the last point is that works with fleet management tools. Will it work with all fleet management tools? In general, yes, there should be not reason that it doesn't work with any fleet management. It work with major fleet management tools. We have tested this already, yeah, and the product is NPS ready. So this functionality, this HP Secure Reuse opportunity and partnership, yeah, that we have with HP is for both for inkjet and laser products. Yeah. And I think that's where we're a little bit unique as Altkin, as we have those two products in our two factories, that we can provide that and test that and work together as a partner with HP to make sure that the implementation is good and that all the things that they promise is also working. So if you look at the phasing of the pilot plan, so we started, as I said, in 2021 already. We restarted the program, you know, in 2024 on initiative of HP. And we will launch the first inkjet references in Q4 of this year, so after the summer. Technically, we can do it today, right? Of course, we have to take certain things into account. Certain cartridges before certain date we cannot use. So there is some complexity which we need to manage, right? Which will disappear in the future. But for those references, we will implement that. Yeah. And then in 2025, as Q1, there will be 2 laser references which will be introduced. What we see is that HP is not providing a turnkey solution. Yeah. It's not that they provide a resetter, that they provide a tool that you have to do that. They provide us the information in such a way that we as Altkin can develop an industrial process and industrial tools to do the resetting. HP is not going to sell a resetting tool. They sell, this is, if you do this, yeah, developer, you can develop a tool that you could implement in your supply chain process, in your production process. And then, of course, HP needs to certify it, that they say, okay, this is good. Yeah, what you did is good. Because there are also some ISO certifications that are launched with it. So starting from now on, we can say, you know, or almost, every new product that HP is launching, yeah, should be included in the HP Secure Reset program. Yeah. So every new product, yeah, that is being launched or that will be launched should have this functionality. Because the functionality will be included from the start at the beginning of the chip design. Yeah. Because the solution is in the chip. We reset the chip. Yeah. So the solution is new cartridges, new chip, the design is already included. Yeah. For all the older references that are already on the market, yeah, HP is looking at for which cartridge they will activate that. It's very likely that they won't do that for 100%. Yeah, they will do that for certain cartridges, and it's also based on our feedback, where they say, okay, we're going to activate this reset functionality on those chips. Why is that not so automatic? Because every chip, every cartridge is in fact a different or new technology. So HP need to do the reset re-engineering of the chips or certain of those references. Yeah, and that takes time. That takes resources. That takes, you know, things that you have to do. And you have to realize that a major part of the cartridges that HP is selling are not made by HP. Yeah, and maybe the technology is not by HP. So that's why I say from 2020 on, all the new cartridges will have that technology. Now we're negotiating, discussing, advising HP to say which other cartridges should we also include in that. And that for both inkjet and laser products. Now, what is the benefits of the aftermarket? Well, first is the time to market. Because now, the moment that HP is introducing a new cartridge, we know that the availability for reset should be available or will be available. So it's not a question anymore, is there chip availability? That normally should, for HP, should be solved. There is a chip availability. It's much more, will there be ink available? We know, you know, we are an ink manufacturer. We design inks. We produce inks. We don't see a problem in that to develop quickly a new ink for our product, because as most inks On families, they change a lot. For toner, it's a little bit the same. So the real challenge would be to have up to speed a product very quickly is to have the empties, to have the empties available. But today, if you look at the Lexmark solution, where Lexmark is not helping, to give a chip solution, where the aftermarket is not providing a chip solution for Lexmark products, that for HP wouldn't exist. And I think it will neither exist any longer for Lexmark in the future, but I come back to that. As I said, there's a clear differentiation between functionalities and visuality of the new build and the reman cartridge. You can immediately see it's a reman cartridge. And the positioning of the reman cartridge becomes, as we always wanted to have it, original OEM remanufactured cartridge with a reset chip, that is certified by the OEM and that has all the functionalities. The benefit also of the system is that we can build our own reset equipment and integrate this in their production lines, in our production lines. We don't have to do it by one. We can develop tools, and that we're working on, to reset 10 chips at the same time, maybe 100 chips at the same time. Because now with our internal R&D department, with our electronics design department, with equipment design departments that we have internally within Altkin, we can develop solutions to do that much quicker or faster. And this is the type of things that HP is working on with this, how can we improve the reset time? How can we make sure that is going faster? When we talked 3 years ago, when reset was taking 40 seconds. Maybe a minute. You can imagine that is not workable in a process, in an industrial process, if you look at volume. So that is a lot improved. We work together. We're developing equipment that this is as even better as what we have today. But you also see that every introduction of a new reference will require a firmware update on existing printers. So the moment the program is launched and the activity, the technical part is launched, we will align with HP to say what is the firmware update date. Because on that firmware update date, to make the reuse chip, the secure reset chip available, all the other chips will potentially be impacted. And all the other chips is all the other OEM chips, like a normal firmware update. So when that firmware update is done, it's another reason for HP to do a firmware update on all the products. It's very likely that a lot of the non-OEM chips will fail to work, stop working, or don't optimize working. And that's my personal interpretation. That's not coming from HP, right? But that's the way it has worked, with firmware updates for the last years. So this reset functionality only work in Europe and for European empties. And that's also important that you need to understand, because in the market, a lot of competitors, we as Armor, we only used European empties. A lot of competitors, they used maybe US empties, Chinese empties, Asian empties, and they transformed that to general products that could be used in all regions. This is not longer possible. You can only use a European empty. The good thing is that you can upgrade an empty. So today we could upgrade a standard version to an XL version, or an XL version we could downgrade to a standard version. So this is with the reset requirement, we also have the flexibility, which was more difficult in the past, to do so. A chip can today have up to 5 resets, so we can 5 times reset it. And in the future, I think there will be much more, because today the amount of storage that you can have on a chip is expanding so much that, I think it could be at the end 15, 20 times, that you could reset. Can the cartridge handle 20 or times resets or reuse? I'm not sure. So there's no dependence on third-party chip suppliers. If you look at the aftermarket, no risk of IP infringement for the chip, and no chip inventory or volume forecasting that we have to do, because the chips are always available. We don't have to invest cash in buying chips, because we pay by use. We do a reset, it goes to the cloud, we get a tick from HP, they send us the invoice at the end of the month, and we pay what we have used, what we have reset. So what's in there for HP? And that's also my personal, part and say, why is HP doing this? I think you have seen maybe the article in the US and say, well, it's a big trap because HP is doing this to. I don't think so. I think HP has not much choice. So the first thing is they do this is to be compliant with the regulation that the European Commission is going to put out. Reuse in Europe is the objective. There's no doubt about it. Reuse should be done. How can HP reuse? They don't do remanufacturing themselves, so the only way is to provide, solutions to the aftermarket for manufacturing. And the preferred model of resetting chips is pushed by the European Commission. So it's not only HP who's going to do this. At the end, I think all the OEMs have to go this direction. The other thing is that HP position them again as leader. They give a green image, and they can sell, even products they buy maybe from us, if that is necessary. Or we could maybe do contract manufacturing for us, as we do for some other OEMs. On the second one, there's a business protection. The goal of HP is to regain market share. Where can you get market share in the European market? You can gain it from competitors, OEMs, but also from the aftermarket. And as they have to push the reuse, they will not attack the reman aftermarket. So the only aftermarket that is left is the new build one. And by putting this technology forward, they block also the income and the profit that is coming from the chip manufacturers. Because we know that all chip manufacturers, most of the chip manufacturers, also the ones that producing new build cartridges. So there is a way that they can get much more bigger grip, on the market. Of course, WEEE regulation in Europe will oblige collection and will oblige also the reuse of those collected products. As I said, it's only for the European market. So it really is protecting the European market. And when HP is working very close with the remanufacturers, and they have the information of the chips, and they do more collect, they have a much better grip on the European market to keep that market share, and to keep that market and get visibility of the market. And of course, HP will continue to do firmware updates. And this is required for the HP security program. And they always say a firmware update is because of HP security. And there will no party that says anymore, but now you block, remanufactured products, or you block the aftermarket. And they say, no, because we provide a reset solution. We do everything to make it happen. So what's the problem? And I believe that firmware updates, there is a risk that firmware updates will be pushed much more frequently than it's today, because it's not a problem anymore. They have provided an alternative solution. We also need to understand that this is a pure new additional revenue stream for HP. They don't have to do anything for that. It's just physical. It's just a reset. It's just software. So it is built in from the start of a new cartridge. So the whole reset that we do, it's not for free. We have to pay for that. You can imagine that HP will put the same price as we pay for new build chips. So for them, it's a complete new revenue stream, a complete new margin stream. You can imagine that suddenly a chip that HP has used on its original cartridge, we're going to reuse 5 times. So they sell the cartridge once as an OEM, and they get 4 times back reset gain from resetting this. It's a fantastic business model, no? If you can reduce the new builds and gain on reman, you don't lose completely market. You gain pure profit. So for them, it's also a very interesting business opportunity. And of course, it leaves the door open for HP to launch their own reman range. Am I afraid of this? No, because OEMs can never position a reman range, neither Brother, HP, whatever OEM, and position that as a cheaper alternative product. They will, if they do it, they will introduce it as a product that is higher positioned in price. Because otherwise everybody wants to have this product because it's better, it's green, it's same quality, you have the same functionalities, it's less, and it's cheaper. That's not a model for the OEMs that can work. It will always be higher. And that's a positive impact also for us, for remanufacturers and for our partners, that this has a positive impact on the selling prices. We can increase our prices, which means we get more profitability. You get more profitability. So that will exist for this positioning of products. So what you can say, well, reuse is the future. HP Secure Reuse is the model that is chosen by the European Eco-Design Regulation proposal as the preferred operational model. Very quickly, all OEMs will offer similar programs. My personal conviction is they will not offer that to all remanufacturers, because there has to be a guarantee of the quality of the product. There has to be a guarantee of the certification of the factories. That should be not to have forced labor. You should not have conditions in factories that are not good. So there will be a selection of OEMs, selection of remanufacturers that have access to such a program. Will it be only the 4 or the 3 that are selected today? Probably not, probably more. But it's not open bar for everybody accessible. Okay. And then you say, what is the opportunity for us and where do we see the future? Altkin, we are doing that already, and we started with more to get partnerships with OEMs. And you don't know that because we cannot communicate around that. Today we do inked developments for OEMs. We produce inked for OEMs. We even do contract manufacturing for OEMs. We produce certain cartridges for OEMs, right? It's all not visible, but believe me, we are out there, to build a future. And for me, the OEM, I need them, but they also need money. They need us to build this future for reuse. Okay, that's it. So I'm 1 minute late or 2 minutes late. Time for questions.
Well, now there is no question in the discussion field, but feel free to ask any question you have.
I must have been very clear. No further question. So I don't have the list of products. So probably somebody say, well, you have the list of products, when what? I don't have the list of products. So this is not clear at the moment. We know that we will communicate that. You have to keep in mind every new product will be in. The existing products, we need to discuss what's in, what's not in. A major part will not be in. I'm pretty sure about that. Maybe especially on the inkjet, but gradually, and it waits time before it's really 100%, reset chip solutions that will be available.
But we do have a question. The question is, does it apply to the UK market or just European market?
No, it's also to the UK market, because we consider UK still from European empties perspective in that perspective. Okay, so it's the European region that has been defined by HP product numbers. The 301, the 302, and things like that. If you look at inkjet, the 226, if you look at laser, so it's really based on this segmentation. Okay.
Another question. Yes, sorry, Kevin. Other question. So the question is, do we think you have expected an impact on pricing?
Do we what?
Do you expect some impact on pricing?
So that is for a moment difficult to say. Of course, HP will not give it away for free. So they are today, if we look at the first pricing that we received, really looking at what is the market price. That's part of also the conditions to get a fair market pricing. And the market pricing is based on today, what is the new chip price? As we get more type of functionalities, I think there might be a risk of a slight cost increase. Of the functionality, but that is still not confirmed, and we're still discussing that. But it's not going to be 2 times, right? It is on the chip component. That's where we're looking at, say, how does it look and what are the conditions? Are the conditions the same for everybody? Is there specific conditions, things like that? It's also something that needs to be discussed, but they're really at the early stage of the program.
Okay, thank you. And another question, it's about does the program will apply, so what will apply, sorry, to countries like South Africa, some countries out European Union?
Yeah, so that's where we need to do the testing because, you know, if you look at the countries of South Africa today, they use the European cartridge. Yeah. And my reading today is that they cannot block, you know, that, you know, and in fact of looking at Europe, the definition will be much more European cartridge. So I think that's where we need to have a test to confirm that. If we have reset a chip, you know, how does that work in South Africa? Is that a block? Because usually South Africa is using European printers. You know, so for me, it should not be an issue.
Thank you very much. We do not have any more questions, so I think we can handle.
Okay, so let's close. So thank everybody for joining this webinar. I would wish everybody a happy holiday. If you go on holiday on the summer, enjoy. And we will see each other back in September probably, right? Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Happy selling.